And then we've got an interesting episode lined up today, and we're gonna kick it off with what I'm going to call the farce of 2023, which is Banyana Banyana, and they are 5-0 thrashing at the hands of Botswana. So, for context, Banyana Banyana are in a dispute with Safa. How it started was that they refused to play at Tsakane Stadium against Botswana because they felt that Botswana are inferior opposition to them and they didn't like the Tsakane Stadium pitch. There have also been reports that they aren't happy with the payment structures for the FIFA World Cup, the women's one, just to note that. And there's been no agreements on how much they're going to get for qualifying for the tournament. Basically, a bonus dispute. So, as a result of this, the main team refused to play. Desiree Ellis, the South African women's coach, had to get a team of basically nobodies, no disrespect, that had to come in and play the game against Botswana on short notice because Safa wanted to honor the fixture and didn't want a no-show because it would be embarrassing. And then subsequently, that team proceeded to get thrashed by Botswana 5-0. And now basically, Safa and the women are trying to resolve this pay issue as well as some other stuff. So that's pretty much it. I will say though that a representative from Safa did say that there was no other stadium available. That's why they chose Tsakane Stadium. And I will also say that when I saw that pitch, like, oh my God, that pitch is ugly, guys. Yo, it's not fit for purpose. I don't think even underage teams play on such a pitch. I don't even think school children will play on such a pitch. So I can understand why they didn't want to play on that pitch. But this isn't a good advert for South African football. And if I'm not mistaken, the Women's World Cup is in 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. How do you feel about the
Yeah,
situation, TB?
dude, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When I saw how that stadium looked, that was just ridiculous, bro. They spent so they were willing to risk the players getting injuries and possible other complications just so that they didn't have to spend money on a stadium. You got to understand, Banyana wanted um they wanted one of the World Cup one of the stadiums used for the World Cup, but obviously when to organize the stadium so late, it's going to cost you even more money. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what ultimately gave them that decision, because that's a lie when they say, no, there weren't any other stadiums available. Moses Mabhida was empty. It was empty. So I mean, they just should have said, we didn't want to spend money on the venue. We didn't want to spend money on any of the sponsorship components like signage, the right to the event, use of the trademarks and logos, just things like that, bro. They didn't want to spend money on advertising, none of that. So it's not the best way to send the best team in Africa, away to the World Cup. And part of the reason for the complaint was also the dispute over bonuses that they are supposed to be receiving at the World Cup. Just I think the bonuses are per game. So Safa just felt like the demands were ridiculous. But this isn't new, man. Nigeria had the same issue. Canada had the same issue where their football federations also didn't felt like the demands were excessive. So when it comes to women's sport, hopefully there's gonna be a bridge in that gap when it comes to that, because Banyana did ask for, I believe, a reported R500,000 per game. And that's going to be added on to what FIFA is going to pay the teams at the World Cup. So each of the 32 countries that qualified for the World Cup will be getting at least $1.5 million, bumping the total prize pool to $152 million, which is more than 3 times what was offered 4 years ago. That means each player will be receiving $30,000, and the winning team of the World Cup, the players will be receiving $270,000. That's very good money. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that money's coming from FIFA. It's not coming from Safa. And on Safa's end, I think it's stingy, man, because I don't know if you're aware. Do you know the budget for the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, right? So during the periods of 2023 to 2026, right, the total estimated budget is going to be around 18.9 billion, and this includes a baseline increase of 26.4 million for cost of living adjustments, which is yo, bruh, that's just ridiculous. So I mean, you're supposed to have the money, man. I mean, we talking about more than 18 billion rand, so on Safa's end, it comes across a bit stingy, but they are not the only federation doing these sort of things. Like as I mentioned, you have the Canadian Football Federation doing the same thing, Nigeria doing the same thing. So, hey man, hopefully there'll be a bridge in that gap, but for Banyana, they deserve more, man. I mean, they are the champions of Africa, and you should be sending them away in a better way. And I mean, do you know the left wing? I also felt like Desiree Ellis, she should have possibly boycotted the game because the fitness coach didn't arrive. If you don't know, she didn't arrive. The players did arrive to the original team did arrive to the venue at 11:30, which was the time they were supposed to arrive, because apparently, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, I mean, and Safa was saying that, hey, these women don't want to play. They came to the stadium, trying to show the people that, no, that's not true. It's not that we don't want to play. We just want our demands to be met, and they were being denied entry, even though the stadium was free to the public, so people could just go show up to the stadium without buying a ticket for free. They didn't want the ladies there, but Panyaza Lesufi was there, who is the premier, and he eventually gave access to the Banyana Banyana team. They ended up watching the game. Desiree Ellis looked very angry. She didn't bark out instructions as she usually does. Some of her staff weren't there. She had to coach a team who were just assembled on the day, so she didn't have any knowledge about a lot of the players. I mean, the winger was 13 years old, and that was the chick was playing left wing. And I mean, man, it was just chaos, bro. It was just chaos. And on that end, I can't believe that we assembled a team just because the first team's demands couldn't be met. I think it's a joke, and I don't think the demands of the bonuses were far stretched. I mean, they could have definitely came to agreement with them, and there's gonna have to be an agreement before they leave to the World Cup. That's the sad thing. Are you gonna send the same team to the World Cup that just lost 5-0 against Botswana? I mean, you got to also look at that and
don't
say, hey,
think
bro,
that's possible.
Oh, the players already registered.
I don't think they can send that team that lost
So
5-0. Not because they'll only get battered, but I mean, a 13-year-old going to that sort of World Cup, I
imagine, bro.
think the
It's ridiculous.
embarrassment for Safa, dog, will be too much. And I mean, already, like, I
Exactly.
saw a lot of criticism for Danny Jordan, lots of calls for him to be like, basically like, yo, Danny Jordan, what you're doing is nonsense. Please It's time for you to be fired and new blood to come in.
Amen. And think about it, even Pitso Musimani was vocal about Danny Jordan's exit. I was shocked when he got voted back into his position. Actually, what am I saying? I wasn't shocked because we all know what happens in the shadows. Of course, I'm not gonna bring up any of those accusations because we could be liable for them. But hey, man, we know what goes on. We know what
You
goes
just
on.
have
It's
to say
nothing
the A
ethical.
word, TB. Just say the A word and you'll be safe.
Alright, let's just avoid it. We'll say it's not ethical. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, when it comes to the respect of the women's team, it's gotta be there. It's gotta be there because I mean they currently the best performing national team in the country. So you gotta have a little bit more respect for them. Um, Safpu was there as well. They were not. They made sure to voice their opinions at the game, and they were even more angry at the security trying to deny the first team access into the stands. So I mean, just that, man. It's just ridiculous. The chaos shouldn't have been there. The girls arrived at the right time. They were gonna play the game regardless of their demands not being met. By the way, but of course, Safa had to show the iron fist. They had to be like, no, this is what we want. You guys are not going to dictate what we do here. What we do, you should be happy about whatever we do. So I don't think their demands on the bonuses will be met, but maybe they'll get somewhere close to that figure, maybe around 380,000 rand per game. And also, man, look, if they did pay the ladies half a million rand um for all those 23 players, right? The total fee the total fee would be 11.6 million rand. And I mean, for the sports, we're talking about the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture dealing with more than 18.6 billion rand. That money is there and it's available. It's not that that money isn't there. It's there, and they don't want to negotiate on these on that money for reasons that we are not aware of. But hopefully as time goes we will find more and more out, because there are journalists that speak on these matters. So hopefully as time goes forward we will figure more and more out about it.
Just to close out, there is only one way. They are gonna have to agree on the bonuses because this is a black mark for Safa. They have not come out of this looking good at all. I mean, even if the bonuses issue didn't come out, because at first we thought it was just a pitch issue, they were still getting a lot of
Yeah,
criticism because, as we've both said, Tsakane Stadium, that pitch is shit. That pitch is shit.
it was horrible, man.
And let's be honest, I don't want it to turn into a whole gender thing, but it is gonna come to that. The
Yeah.
guys in Bafana have never played on such a nonsense pitch. Let's be honest. They've never played on such a bad pitch in the country. Like, let's be honest, bruh.
And they never will. And they never will.
So it's also, like you have said before, it's also a respect thing. I think the Botswana thing, I did see that report. I did mention it earlier. But I'm sort of thinking now, because I also saw a YouTube clip from the spokesperson that I referenced. They defended Botswana as a choice by mentioning that Botswana knocked the girls out of one of the Olympic qualifiers. I don't remember which year it was, but I think that was just I think it's just what's the word I'm looking for? A
Like
deflection
defend.
tactic to make the
Yeah.
girls look bad. And then in
Yeah,
terms of
that's
the
true.
bonuses, I think the girls aren't going to get that money. But like you said, they'll probably have to come to a sort of compromise because the World Cup isn't far and we don't want to embarrass ourselves on the world stage. Like, I know it's a tangent. I'm actually reminded of the one time when we thought Bafana Bafana now we're going to Rio. We were dancing only to find we're not going to Rio. So,
Hey man,
quick
that was
tangent aside,
disappointing.
not disappointing. It was embarrassing, dude. Very embarrassing. So,
Yeah.
there's that. But honestly, if there's anything that needs to come out of this, hopefully Danny Jordan gets fired. That's all I'm hoping for.